Well, hello, hello, hello to everybody in the Positively Teresa community. My name is Teresa Sanderson, and I am your host for the Wednesday Spotlight. And today we are featuring my dear friend Lisa Drennon, and we are spotlighting her as a woman entrepreneur with depression. And one of the main goals that we have here at Positively Teresa is to just raise awareness about mental illness and also to encourage the growth of businesses that are owned by women entrepreneurs with depression or other mental illness, because we really believe it's important for people to see who this affects, how it affects them, and how they live their lives very successfully and abundantly. So, Lisa, welcome, welcome. I'm so excited to have you here.
Well, thank you. I'm excited to be here. A little bit nervous, but it's okay. Nerves are good.
Don't be nervous. It's only 8,000 people.
Yeah, that's all. No worries.
Oh gosh. Well, why don't you, Lisa, tell us a little bit about you and how you got started in your business?
Hey, well, I'm Lisa Drennon. I've been married for 27 years with my husband for 31, over 3 decades. We have three adult children. I have a new grandbaby, just a month old, so I'm excited about that. I
Yay.
actually, yeah, I'm actually, a year ago, I was not doing this. I got into a side gig. I've always had some kind of a side gig going. I work full time, and I've always loved to keep myself busy. I used it as a burial thing. So I got into my own business with Young Living, being an independent distributor. From there, I got into Aroma Freedom, became a practitioner, and then became a ULA Life certified ULA Life coach. And those
Wow.
modalities have just changed my life around. So here I am sharing my coaching skills, my modality. It's a very awesome modality that helps women move from that shift. And here I am.
Well,
So
love it. Love it. So it sounds like you've had a journey to get to this point in your life, and it sounds like you've had a lot of almost like stepping stones that you've taken along the way. One thing has led to another, and you've just kind of followed that course.
yes, totally unexpected too. Um, so it's been an incredible journey, and it's something that I had prayed for a long time because I was so stuck. And I was just like, well, what can I do? I'm tired of being stuck. And it just kind of just this natural approach. And it's so incredibly life changing. And I've made such strides in such a short period of time.
Love it. Love it. I'm so happy for you, girl.
Mhm.
Now, let's talk a little bit about when did depression enter your life and what was that like for you?
I can't remember a time when I didn't have depression. When I was little, I was molested. I was probably three, 3 years old,
Oh my goodness.
and it happened until I was around 7 or 8, and then it stopped. I was always afraid and very angry, and I ended up into just I started drinking at a very young age,
Mm.
and just using very angry all the time, screaming and yelling. And I learned later that anger outward was really depression expressed. So instead of holding my depression in, I would just yell and scream. You could hear me from a mile away. Always very unhappy. Um, so I would say, probably as young as 10 or 11, and it wasn't understood. They thought I was a brat. So I
Mhm.
kind of got the label of being a brat and being spoiled because my mom would get tired. Um, it runs in the family. My mom had a nervous breakdown. And when I was 7, I watched her get pulled away from the ambulance in a straitjacket. And I remember looking at her saying, well, what's wrong with my mommy? And my older brother told me I had to go to school. And I'm like, how can I go to school? My mom was just taken away. And
Mhm.
we were dragged to counseling because of that as a young child. And they were like, well, she's acting out, she's something's bothering her. And they never knew it back then in the 70s. They just didn't know what it was. They just, like I said, they thought it was anger. So
Right. Right.
yeah.
Mm. So very young, this happened to you very, very young. And I just think I need to say out loud, I'm so sorry that you had to endure the things that no child should have to endure in the hands
Hmm.
of people that are supposed to care for them. I cannot even begin to imagine how hard that would be. Um, mm. So from that point, you recognize that you had depression. The interesting thing is when you say, I was kind of labeled as a brat. People thought I was just unruly and that kind of thing. Greg and I have a daughter who is bipolar. And when I came onto the scene 20 years ago, when we got married, we just thought we had an unruly teenager, who was just acting out and all of that kind of thing. And little did we know, shortly thereafter, we found out, and she was diagnosed with bipolar. But I
Mm,
can't imagine, that had to be very challenging just growing up, the why me? Why are my friends not experiencing this? Why is it only me kind of thing? So,
yeah. Well, it was kind of good because I hung out with people who were a lot like me.
oh,
So we were
well,
all
there you
angry.
go.
Well, one of the mechanisms I used was drugs. So,
Uh-huh.
you kind of, birds
Hmm.
of a feather. So my friends were depressed as well.
Hmm.
And we would just kind of misery loves company. And
Yep.
we were always fighting with our parents and, not running away, but we would leave the house 8 o'clock in the morning and not come home until 5 o'clock at night. We'd eat dinner, we'd go out again because our parents were always yelling and screaming at us. So, like there's just
Gotcha.
this constant cycle of, it was just a life of anger and sadness. And there was like the happy times that were there were so few. And it usually
Hmm.
was around like when there was a party or a get together or something like that.
Got it. Got it. Well, what a testimony you are, though, now, I think, to mental wellness and being able to come from that and walk into a place and be able to live your life as, somebody who is now mentally well. And there are probably a lot of things, or at least a few things, that you do on a regular basis to take care of yourself. Tell us a little bit about what that looks like, the kinds of things you do on a typical day to take care of yourself.
Well, that evolved as well. When I realized that my anger was actually depression and it severed relationships. Back in 1996, I decided to go for counseling. So I did therapy counseling where you did kind of like a 12-step program,
Okay.
and I learned I statements. So the I statements worked for a while, and I was to the point where I was counting to 10 to try to avoid myself from going into a full-fledged attack.
Hmm.
So I kept searching, I kept reading, I would read every single book about anger. Well, things got better. I ended up numbing myself with alcohol and retail therapy, and I gained a lot of weight. Food was a great comfort. So I just kept taking it out on my family members and, life at home after I got married and started having my kids. I was like, I don't want this for my kids. I need something different.
Hmm.
So I came across, I was saved at a younger age, and was like, I can pray. So I turned to the Lord. I'm like, I need help. I would lock myself in my bathroom crying. I would go into my car and go into a park and just cry my eyes
Mm.
out,
Wow.
searching and searching. And I came across A Thousand Gifts by Ann Volskamp, and it was a challenge to list 10 things that you're thankful for every single day. And her story
Hmm.
was very similar. She had a lot of the mental health issues. So I really resonated with that. I'm like, well, it can't hurt to try. So that was my first major pivot, was listing 10 things that I was grateful for. I ended up seeing so much beauty around me that I kept doing it. I do it to this day.
Love
So I
it.
started in 2013. So I'm way beyond A Thousand Gifts, and it's a great modality. And the act of writing it down, it just
Mm.
opens up your heart and it just changes things for you. So a lot of times I'll just spend 15, 20 minutes just writing things that I'm thankful for as soon as I wake up. And then from there, um, I I realized that there was some underlying cause.
Hmm.
And for me, when I went through my 12-step program, it was for the child molestation. It was also when I was young, I was 15, I got involved with a guy and ended up getting pregnant, not
Mm.
once, not twice, but 3 times. And the
Okay.
first 2 times, I was told I had to have an abortion, and I was told,
Hmm.
there, he was narcissistic and a gaslighter and all of that, and it was
Got it.
threats and what have you. And I was told it was a blob, and it was very devastating to me because I thought I was this horrific, ugly person, and it just brought me into such a deep depression. I mean, I
Mm.
was smoking cigarettes all the time and drinking like a bottle of wine by myself like every single weekend, and then I would bury myself into my job and I would volunteer and I would just whatever. If you kept me busy, I would be good. And then I kind of
Mm-hmm.
catered to everybody because if everybody saw me helpful, maybe they wouldn't see how ugly I was inside and my
Mm-hmm.
horrific deeds and shame and guilt. So that kept
Gotcha.
having me plummeting. So every time I would go 5 steps forward, I would go 3 steps back. And then I
Mm-hmm.
got in that cycle, and then I was just like, okay, I need something. So then I
Okay.
utilized the one word. So the one word was just focusing on one thing that I could change. What did I want for myself? And
Mm-hmm.
I was meeting a counselor at this point, and basically I met with counselors every year, and I kept switching them up because I wasn't getting from them what I needed.
Right.
So this one counselor told me, focus on one thing. Stop trying to change your whole being. What do you
Mm-hmm.
want? I said, I want peace. I just want peace. So when I started focusing on the one word and I researched that one word, peace was my first one, I started getting peace. Then I started thinking, well, why don't I have peace? Like, what's causing it? Never realizing that my childhood and the decisions I made back when I was a
Mm.
teenager were affecting me now because I was so busy trying to hide from it.
Right.
So when I started the healing journey, which is a 29-week course, I realized my false beliefs. I realized my mindset was completely off. I realized that I was a child of God and that I was made for a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And that totally changed me and got me to where I am today. And from there, I discovered my body needs to be healthy, not only from the inside, but from the outside as well. And I
Mm-hmm.
realized that, my, my depression was causing weight gain. I was borderline diabetes. Um, I was on watch for heart issues because my family has those. So my doctor looked at me. He goes, "You're 5 feet tall. You weigh 138 pounds. You're perimenopause. You have two choices. You can go the route that you're going and end up sick and diseased and on
Mm-hmm.
medications, or you can pivot and you can live a healthy lifestyle. Just your choice. It's up to you." Well, those words resonated with me because I was young. I'm not even 53 years old. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So I went and researched it. Okay, what's a healthy lifestyle look like? And I learned how to eat properly, how to eat whole foods. I learned that the chemicals that I was putting in my body were causing reactions. They were making me nervous. So I had bronchial asthma. So I was taking like 12
Mm-hmm.
different medications for all these issues. And I was like, then I started having skin issues and it was manifesting physically in pain. And I ended up with osteoporosis and all of this. And I'm like, why?
Oh
Well,
my.
because I was seeding all of my emotions and refusing to deal with them. So
Mm-hmm.
I would have the berry and the explosive stuff and explode. It came out physically. So when I got into the whole holistic lifestyle, I started feeling better, and I kept forgetting to take my medication. I was just like, "Whoa, why am I forgetting to take my medication?" I love to research, so I started researching, and I realized this stuff's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
I need to learn more. So then I got into the aromatherapy. The first time
Awesome.
I did the first time I did aromatherapy, I was like, what just happened? I mean, like within 5 minutes, I had released something that was overwhelming to me. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I need to know more about this. And I've practiced aroma freedom every single day since June of 2020. And I've
Mm-hmm.
released so much, so many emotions, so many roots have been cut, the roots of bitterness and shame and guilt have been completely cut. And back in January of 2019, I forgave myself for my horrific choices as a teenager, but I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't, but I didn't love myself. I mean, I forgave
Mm-hmm.
myself, but I was like, okay, but I don't trust you. Like, you're not a good
Yeah.
person still. And it was funny to say that because you always portray that on the other person. You never think about forgiving you. So when
Mm-hmm.
I started valuing me time and I would sit and talk to God and I understood how valuable I was and I looked inward, I was able to fully forgive myself. And I started setting goals with the ULO life. We do the goals, three goals a day in each 7 categories.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been living like this now. And I have to truly say I'm living my ULO life.
Well, there you go. There
So,
you go. So it's been an evolution, it sounds like, but I hear
mhm.
a lot of different things in there. I hear that you are somebody who practices gratitude, it sounds like on a daily basis, having that heart of gratitude. You're also using some tools from the natural wellness side of things, including essential oils and aroma freedom technique and a few other things I heard in there too, and also your ULA lifestyle. So that is all amazing. And I think it's the interesting thing about being an entrepreneur with depression. It doesn't mean that we can't do the same things that other people are doing. It's just that we build the self-care in so that we can stay as functional as we are, right? And be in balance. I think if there's any gift I've gained from having depression, it's that I've learned to live a balanced life.
Mhm.
Whereas before I was always just kind of pedal to the metal. I'm a high achiever, let me do it all. And that really didn't do much for me in the long,
Uh,
in the grand scheme of things, you know?
the
Well,
recipe
very
for
good.
burnout.
What about you? Now, it's kind of an interesting question to ask, but if there's anything positive that has come from your experience with depression, what would that be?
I would say the most positive thing is that I learned. So people look at you at things from the outside,
Mhm.
and we're always trying to cover it up and blame others. So the most important thing I learned is that my depression was inward. It was a choice. Every day I have to make a choice. Am I going to be upset or angry, or am I going to have a good day? And then if I choose to have a good day, I have to implement the tools that I have.
Mhm.
I you can have the tools, but if you don't use them, they don't matter. So I'm
Exactly.
very conscientious about that, and I would say that would be the best thing. All of my trials have turned into a treasure of some sort. Looking back, every
Mhm.
experience has taught me to be stronger. I'm bold. I am more confident. I'm more aware. I can spot things quicker in people. I listen to my intuition. So all the tools that I've learned along the way have taught me to be the strong, confident person so that I know I can do things. I know that there's a purpose and I don't have to listen to these people or care about what these people are saying. Or, I mean, because even now, like I have family members that don't support me,
Mhm.
or will make,
Mhm.
friends that will make like little remarks that could very well pull me back in, like those triggers.
Sure.
But because I follow my modality, because I use my tools every day, I take my me time, I do my gratitude, I practice my clean living, and I have my goals, I'm able to get rid
Mhm.
of that. My mindset is so much different.
I love
Whereas
that.
before I would be like, oh my God, they don't think
Mhm.
I'm this, they don't think that now,
Mhm.
and now I can say, it's them. Hurt people hurt others, and I can say a
Yeah.
quick prayer for them and move forward because I got my toolbox and I'm using
I love that. I love that. Yay, you. I just think you have a wonderful story. And I'm just so glad that we're doing this interview today. Now, if there's one thing that you would want the world to know about mental illness or depression, just one single thing, if you could shout it from the rooftops and make that point to people, what would that be that you want people to know?
it. Haha. Was that question on the list?
Yes,
um,
it was.
if I one thing that I could shout from the rooftops is
Mhm.
there is hope, there is healing. Just say yes to the hope and say yes to the healing. Get the tools and use
Fantastic.
them.
That is a fantastic answer, even though you didn't know it was on the list. I think that is beautiful. And it's a message that so many people need to hear. You know, when I introduce myself to other people, I don't always say I'm a woman entrepreneur with depression, but a lot of times I do, just to put it out there. And usually I'm met with, oh my gosh, that's so courageous. You know, thank you for sharing because you know what, it's me too. And so I think your message of that there's hope, what a big deal. You know, what a big deal. I think that's so important for people to know. All right, Miss Lisa, I want to thank you for being with us today and give you this last few minutes here to share with us more about your business, any project that you're working on right now, anything that you would want our viewers to know, and how to contact you or access your products and services. Now is your time to shine.
Oh, thank you. I
You're
appreciate that.
welcome.
So I have a signature program called Forgiving the Girl Inside. I have a book coming out with that title in January. But
Love it.
Forgiving the Girl Inside, it's about finding balance, freedom, and fun in your life. It's conquering shame and guilt. It's grabbing the strategies to be able to daily make the choice to have a fantastic day. It includes a gratitude journal. The 12-week program is live coaching. It has the modality is amazing. It includes aroma freedom and daily affirmations. So just all the tools that you need. I also have a free 5-day reset challenge coming up to de-stress
Oh,
for the holidays. That
nice.
starts November 30th. So the link will be below, and you can also grab it at lisadrennon.com, just my name.com is my website. I'm also on, I have my own YouTube channel as well as Instagram and a Facebook page as well. That's called Rockin' Oils, ROCINOILS.
Love
Um,
that.
but yeah, lisadrennon.com is where you can get the resources for the landing page. And if you're interested in the signature programs, there are three different uh, price levels available. And I also have a 4-week online class that you can actually go through independently at your own pace that kind of is like a little abbreviation of the 12-week program that will kind of help you get on track if you're not quite sure, where you want to go. I know a lot of times for me, I was afraid to make that first step. I was afraid to invest in myself. So
Mhm.
this is a really great way. It's only $27. It's 4 weeks.
Wow.
It's online videos, and it's just a great way to get yourself introduced to the tools that have brought me to where I am today. So,
Love, love, love that. So, um, I will be sharing the link that Lisa has provided with me above this video or below it. I don't know. I think it shows up below in YouTube. So be sure to check out her 5-day, her free 5-day program that's coming up on November 30th to help you deal with the stress of the holidays. And also, Lisa, I want to wish you just abundant success and blessings with your new signature program, Forgiving the Girl Inside, and your new book coming out in January. I just think the world so needs your message. And I want to thank you so much for being with us today.
no, thank you for having me.
You are so welcome. So, everybody, that concludes our interview with Lisa Drennon today here on the Wednesday Spotlight. I want to thank you all for joining me and connect with us again next Wednesday for our next Wednesday Spotlight. Thanks so much.